Hey, what's going on, everybody? Samuel Akem here, and I'm back with another one. Thank you guys once again for tuning into Akem'S analysis. We got an NFL Draft 2025 reaction show today. Got a few other topics on here, but I really want to get into some of these Big Sky picks, some of these FCS draft picks, and talk about the fit. Talk about where I think they'll fit on these teams. Talk about how I think they'll fit on these teams, and just give my thoughts and reactions on what the draft was. You know, I feel like the draft is always a big weekend in college football. Obviously, it's the biggest weekend in college football going into the NFL football. I mean, it's the marriage. It's where you're going from college, you're going to the NFL. So we're gonna do a lot of talking about that. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys leave me a comment down below. Please remember, 70 to 80% of you guys who are watching my channel are not currently subscribed to my channel. So please, it does you no harm to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we will get straight into it. Okay, big weekend this week in the draft. Last weekend in the draft, a lot of Big Sky picks were. A lot of Big Sky guys were picked. A lot of FCS guys were picked. I think there were 16, I want to say, FCS draft picks that went in the draft this year. Funny enough, this year there was not a sub D1 player chosen in the draft, so only Division 1 players, that's FCS, G5, FBS players, and obviously Power 4 players in the draft. No D2, no D3, no NAIA guys went in the draft this year, so little development there. But first things first, Jackson Slater out of Sacramento State was, I believe, the first Big Sky guy picked in the draft this year. He went 5th round, pick 167. He was drafted to the Tennessee Titans. I think that's a really big pickup. That's a really good draft slot for Jackson Slater. Very excited for him. Obviously, he went to the Senior Bowl, had a good time, had a good day. He went to the Combine, had a good day. He went to his pro day, had a good day. I mean, if performing well in the pre-draft process had a name, the name would be Jackson Slater. He is absolutely knocked out. He absolutely knocked out the pre-draft process, and that led to him being picked in the 5th round. Obviously, the tape spoke for itself. He is an extremely dominant player. I believe he played right guard this past season, and you know they had him at the Senior Bowl. He played a little bit of center, but also played guard, so a little bit of positional versatility. That's probably something that led to him getting drafted as well. But extremely productive player, a player who probably could have transferred out of Sacramento State and still been drafted. Maybe would have been drafted higher had he transferred, but decided to stick it out at Sac State with Coach Andy Thompson, and now he is getting drafted to the Titans. So exciting pick there. I'm not so versed about the Tennessee Titans roster, but you know, if you're picking somebody in the 5th round, you're either picking them to potentially challenge your starter, or you're picking them to be a backup. But you're picking them, and you see them being able to fit on your roster. Obviously, you know, they're keyed into that 53. You're hoping they can make that 53-man roster. We will see how that pans out for Jackson Slater, but really big-time pickup for Sacramento State. They are in a big transition period, trying to go FBS, trying to be an independent. You know, there's a lot of things going on at Sac State. New head coach, new basketball coach. President's been very loud. Got a lot of things going on. A ton of FBS picks at Sacramento State. So Jackson Slater, giving them some attention, giving them some love, getting drafted at Sac State, really big time. The next pick, actually, there was a pick before that. It was Tommy Mellott got drafted, and then a couple picks later, I know this isn't a Big Sky guy, but Cam Miller, both got drafted to the Las Vegas Raiders, and that is really exciting for a lot of reasons. Obviously, if you've paid attention to obviously, if you paid attention to FCS football, you know that Tommy Mellott and Cam Miller have played against each other. I've heard from sources that Tommy Mellott and Cam Miller are not the fondest of each other. Not to say they hate each other, but let me give you a little background. 2021, when Tommy Mellott was a freshman, he started that year and ended, or he didn't start that year. He was actually the backup quarterback that year. He might have been 3rd string. I know he was a gadget guy, but he didn't start. They had a quarterback, McKay, that year, and he started. He left after they lost to Montana in the after they lost to Montana in the Brawl of the Wild. He ended up transferring out. Tommy Mellott started for them in the playoffs. They were a really good team that year. They had Troy Anderson was a senior that year. Lance McCutcheon was a big guy. Ty Okada was a player on that squad. They had a squad. They had a young Brody Grebe. I mean, they had players on that squad. Tommy Mellott ends up taking that team to the national championship. Who do they face in that national championship game? Cam Miller and the North Dakota State Bison. Who got the best of Tommy Mellott in that game? It was the North Dakota State Bison. So you got to believe that Tommy Mellott had some disdain in his heart for that. Well, fast forward to this past season. Montana State goes undefeated. North Dakota State has a good season. They don't necessarily go undefeated, but, they only had 2 losses in the regular season, one of those being to Colorado, the other being to South Dakota. They end up getting, I believe, they were the number 1 seed. Were they? They might have been the number 2 seed. I don't exactly remember. My memory's failing me. But NDSU went to the national championship. The seed doesn't matter. They're a really good squad. The night before the national championship game, obviously they have the awards, the stats awards, and Tommy Mellott won the Walter Payton over Cam Miller. Now, there's obviously a lot of NDSU fans that felt like Cam Miller should have won that award. Obviously, Montana State fans are like, nope, they got it right. Either way, Cam Miller felt like he should have won it. Tommy Mellott felt like he was deserving, and Tommy Mellott won it. Well, if you got the award show, I think the award show is actually on Saturday, and I think the game was obviously on Monday night, but I think the award show is on Saturday. I can't imagine that they do an award show the night before a national championship game, but maybe they did. Either way, a couple days later, they played in the national championship game. NDSU won by 3, and Cam Miller got the last laugh. Well, fast forward now to April. April 27th was when they both got drafted. Tommy Mellott and Cam Miller are now, April 26th, Tommy Mellott and Cam Miller are now teammates. One as a quarterback, one as a receiver. But the Raiders director of college scouting said they view Tommy Mellott as a wide receiver first, but made it clear that they won't limit him. He could also get some work as a returner and true QB. That is per Tayshaun Reed of The Athletic. He reported that on Twitter yesterday. But very exciting. They plan to use Tommy in a multitude of ways, as a returner, as a receiver, as a Wildcat quarterback. I mean, Tommy Mellott is an athlete. He's somebody who can make things happen. Any way you can find a way to get Tommy Mellott on the field, he is going to make things happen. Now, Cam Miller. Obviously, he's drafted in the 6th round. Him and Tommy both drafted in the 6th round. What does that mean? Is he coming in there to be a starter? Is he coming in there to be a backup? Is he coming in there to maybe be a 3rd string? I mean, I don't know. But obviously, he got drafted, so they see maybe he can pan out. I mean, Cam Miller was an extremely productive quarterback, extremely accurate quarterback. I mean, it's so funny with Cam Miller because in the 2023 season, I didn't see anything but negative things about Cam Miller. Not all negative things, but people saying he's not the greatest quarterback. He's getting covered up by a really good team around him. Obviously, NDSU is always going to have weapons out there. But when I turned on the film and I watched Cam Miller, I think he's a guy who knows how to win. I think he's an extremely accurate quarterback. I think he's somebody who's not going to put the ball in harm's way much at all. I think he knows how to make winning plays. I think there's times also when you're watching the film, you can tell that he's changing around the play. He's looking at what the defense is giving him, and that's obviously what you want out of your quarterback. So, going to be exciting. Both players in Las Vegas. I would love to be a fly on the wall for the first time Cam Miller and Tommy Mellott meet each other in the locker room. I just want to know. Somebody posted something last night. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they posted the Step Brothers meme when the two brothers, I can't even remember their names from Step Brothers, but Will Ferrell and the other guy, they first meet each other in the front yard of I think it was Will Ferrell's dad's house. And you can see they kind of have this standoff. And they're looking at each other, and it's like, I go by Dragon. It's like, somebody posted that last night, and I had a laugh about that because I think that's very funny. But obviously, both of these guys have taken things from the other. In the case of on the field, Tommy Mellott took a Walter Payton away from Cam Miller. Cam Miller took 2 national championships away from Tommy Mellott. I would say that Cam Miller has the leg up, and if there's a rivalry, if you'll call it a rivalry, Cam Miller definitely has a leg up because he's got the 2 rings and won the games ultimately. But Cam Miller obviously isn't happy that he didn't win the Walter Payton Award. Nobody would be happy to lose a award that they definitely felt like they were deserving. I felt like both players were certainly deserving of that award, but only one player can leave with it. I don't know at the FCS if they've ever done Walter Payton Award winners, but I don't really want that anyway. One winner, no participation trophies, and that's what we got. So Tommy Mellott, Cam Miller are now teammates with the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm very excited to see how both they pan out. I think Tommy Mellott is going to be somebody who's going to make a lane on special teams as he learns the game as a receiver. I think he's somebody that they could use as a gadget guy as he learns how to be a more polished receiver. But I think Tommy Mellott is definitely somebody who makes the 53 and ends up carving out a 5 to 10 year career. Cam Miller, on the other hand, he has a harder road ahead of him, obviously, because he's a quarterback. I don't know how many quarterbacks the Raiders currently have, but I'm sure Cam Miller is not the only quarterback that they're bringing in. They obviously have Geno Smith to be the starter, but Cam Miller hopefully can challenge for that 2nd or 3rd string job. We will see how that pans out. You guys let me know what you guys think about that. Junior Bergen of Montana was drafted in the 7th round. He was picked 254 255, 252, something like that. Late pick. He was like the fourth to last pick, fifth to last pick, but he was picked in the draft. He goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Colt Anderson is, I believe, an assistant special teams coach with the 49ers, and I believe that obviously he was pounding on the table very hard, but we got some things. San Francisco general manager, I got some quotes that I want to read. San Francisco general manager John Lynch told reporters Saturday that first-year 49ers assistant special teams coach Colt Anderson had an influence in the team drafting Bergen. Anderson kept talking about this kid from Montana and really sold him to us, Lynch stated in a video posted on the 49ers website. Ultimately, at the end, it's like, okay, are we going to have a chance at free agency if we don't draft him? Is someone else going to draft him at the end? Ultimately, I do think there's, this is a different quote, but that's really exciting. You know, there's people that might say, hey, should they have drafted Junior? Should they have signed him in free agency? They drafted him. They felt like he was somebody that might get taken. Had they not drafted him, would he sign with them in free agency? Would somebody offer him more money? You don't know. So don't chance it. Draft him while there's still picks left, while we still have a pick left, and make sure that he's coming to our squad. So really exciting for Junior. Kyle Shanahan also had a quote. This is per Kyle Hansen, but ultimately I do think, this is that continued quote. Ultimately, I do think there's added value with returners with the adjustment to the kickoff and the touchbacks coming all the way out to the 35. People are going to be less inclined to just kick it through the end zone, more return opportunities. So to have a dynamic returner is a good thing. That is per Kyle. That whole quote I just read is per Kyle Hansen. He was, I think, peeling it from somebody else, but yeah, I mean, that's really exciting. When John Lynch, when Kyle Shanahan, when everybody's on the same page about drafting you, that's a good sign. Kyle Shanahan stated that they do plan to play him as a returner. Obviously, they'll put him with the receivers, but they did draft him as a returner. Kyle Shanahan on why he drafted Montana wide receiver Junior Bergen. We took him as a returner, so we'll throw him in the receivers and see how that goes. But we brought him here to be a returner and try to make that team try to make the team that way. So that is really, really convincing because obviously he's one of the most prolific returners in college football history. When you get brought in and your main skill set is a returner, obviously a lot of times as a returner, you need to make the squad as the fifth or sixth receiver. They're stating that they brought him in to see if he can make the team as a returner. That is very interesting. I've never necessarily heard that, but that's interesting. Bergen had only 10 punt returns last season, but took 3 of them for touchdowns. He had 8 total punt return touchdowns in the last 3 seasons at Montana and averaged 16.6 per return over his collegiate career. He also had 1 kickoff return for a touchdown in 2023. I did not put who that quote was by. I apologize to you, but that is not my quote. That's somebody I saw on X. But that's just exciting. Bringing Junior Bergen in as a returner. I think that gives you some security in Junior Bergen's stance as well. When you're at, obviously you don't want to sandbag it as a receiver, but you know why you're there. And I hope that they've explained that to him as well. Like, hey, we're bringing you in as a returner. You don't have to stress. You want to do well as a receiver, but I feel like in the position that Junior's in, you don't have to stress the receiver position as much because you have security as a returner. You're there to be a returner, so you can put a lot of your energy into being the best returner, fielding all the punts, fielding all the kick returns. I mean, you can put all of your energy into doing that really well. Obviously, like I keep saying, you want to be good as a receiver, and I know if I think I know Junior well enough as I do, he's gonna want to be a good receiver. Obviously, you get in the league. You play receiver. You want to play receiver in the league. Being returner is great. Making a 53-man roster in the NFL is great. Being able to say you played in the NFL is amazing. But you want to maximize your opportunity. So really exciting news for Junior Bergen, one of my young dogs during my time at Montana. Super, super excited for him. I actually want to pull up his draft call. So I'm actually going to pull up his draft call. If I can pull up this link, here we go. I'm going to pull up his draft call. We're actually going to minimize it down right here. Okay, and then we'll expand this. Okay, we're going to listen to Junior Bergen's draft call because I thought it was just super awesome to hear this, and I didn't get to hear Tommy Mellott's or Cam Miller's or Jackson Slater's. I didn't get to hear those. If they did post those, I haven't heard those. But let's play Junior Bergen's draft call and listen to him get the call and find out that he is going to be an NFL player. Here we go. Let me switch my screen over. Okay. Here we go.
Hey, Junior.
Hello?
It's John Lynch from the Niners.
How's it going, Coach?
We're going to make you a Niner. We just drafted you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you fired up?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome,
Yes, sir.
buddy.
Thank you.
That is awesome. That's great, man.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna pass you over to our head coach. Okay, here's Kyle Shanahan. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Junior, what's up, man?
Nothing much.
Man, you all right,
Thank
dude?
you. Yes, sir. Thank
Dude,
you.
hey, thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
Dude, we're just pumped to be able to get you, man. Our special teams
Yes,
coach
sir.
has been telling me about you since the day I met him. So, we're all fired up, man. Especially to come here and make some plays, dude. But you're a hell of a player,
Yes,
and you're
sir.
only gonna get better here. All right, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, enjoy the special moment with your family, man. We'll see you soon. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Hey,
Yes,
hey,
sir.
our
Thank you.
our owner, Jed York, wants to say what's up. Hold on.
Congratulations, Junior.
Thank you.
So
Thank you,
happy for
guys.
you, man. Our
Yes, sir.
special teams crew has been up here hounding us for you. So we're happy
Yes,
to
sir.
get you here. We're happy to make them happy.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Yes,
get
sir.
this thing
Thank you,
rolling.
guys.
You guys go have fun, man. We'll
Yes,
see you
sir.
soon, bud.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
Man. That is just freaking awesome, man. Like, you can hear the emotion in his voice, and you hear when John Lynch said, "Hey, Junior, we're going to draft you here." It seems like he was like almost shocked because he just said thank you, and you can see John Lynch was waiting to hear like the cheers. He was waiting to hear some emotion, and I mean, it just seems like he's in shock, man. And you can hear the tears, and a lot of you guys watch and don't know like Junior's story, but he's been through some injuries, man. Last year he dealt with an injury. This past season he dealt with an injury. In 2022, I'm almost certain he dealt with an injury, and it hasn't been a smooth path for Junior. So he's definitely dealt with some adversity, and for him to be able to power through that adversity and ultimately make it on the other end and end up in the NFL, which is his ultimate dream, on the team that he's rooted for his entire life, the 49ers. I mean, it's just, my heart is warm. Obviously, I try to be as objective as I possibly can when covering the Big Sky Conference and covering these FCS teams. But, I do have a warm spot in my heart for Junior Bergen. He's one of my young bulls. And, it just makes me extremely happy to see him actualize his dreams. And obviously, there's still a long way to go. I texted him and let him know it's still a long way to go. But, I mean, man, like, part of you when you get drafted or when you get signed to a team has to be like, it's a sigh of relief because everything you've been working for, and obviously like the work really starts now. You get on a team, it's all about getting on a team and getting you got to get into the door first. But once you're in the door, that's when the work, but like, man, getting in the door is so extremely hard. Even getting on a team, being able to walk in that building is so extremely hard. I mean, I'm just so happy, and it makes me also happy that there were some people, and that's what it's about, man. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know, and it's about creating connections. And I don't even know if Junior has met Colt Anderson or the special teams coordinator at San Francisco, but it really seems like they were pounding on the table to get him in the building and get him on the team. That's why they used a draft pick on him. I mean, extremely happy, man. Congratulations to Junior Bergen and all these guys who got drafted, but special story right here for Junior Bergen. I mean, congrats to him, man. Congrats to him. That's super awesome. Super awesome. Okay, next we had, I think that is it for the Big Sky draft picks. Junior, Jackson Slater, and Tommy Mellott were the 3 draft picks out of the Big Sky Conference. But you had some undrafted free agents get signed. So Lan Larison, there's actually 3 undrafted free agents that signed to the Patriots. Lan Larison signed to the Patriots. I'll give my thoughts about that in a second. Efton Chisholm signed to the Patriots. And Elijah Ponder also signed to the Patriots. Elijah Ponder, the interesting thing about Elijah Ponder, I'll get my thoughts on him first because my thoughts on him are brief. The interesting thing about Elijah Ponder is he was somebody who was rumored to potentially be a 5th or 6th round draft pick during the preseason. Obviously, once the draft gets around, things get shaken up. It's all about, when players get taken, what teams' needs are, how teams are drafted, all that good stuff. So it doesn't always work out how you projected to be, a la Shedeur Sanders. But, it's crazy that he slid to a UDFA. I don't know how much interest he had in the undrafted free agent market, but I thought he was going to get drafted. I mentioned in the preseason, I thought he was somebody that was going to get drafted based on the reports that I was seeing, some of his measurables and, how people were speaking about him. But obviously he still gets signed to a undrafted free agent contract. So exciting there for Elijah Ponder. Then you got Efton Chisholm, Lan Larison also signing to the Patriots. Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator with the Patriots. If you remember how the Patriots operated when they had Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady, Wes Welkers, the Julian Edelmans, all the players that they accumulated. I mean, Lan Larison fits with a lot of those guys that Josh McDaniels used to target back in the day with the Patriots. I think Lan Larison fits I don't think there could have been a better fit than a Josh McDaniels offense for Lan Larison. I mean, his versatility, what he's able to do on the football field makes him a perfect fit because I can see Josh McDaniels moving him around, being able to use him in the passing game, being able to use him as a receiver, him playing special teams. I mean, maybe him being a returner. I don't know what the returners are like. I think they got, Marcus Jones. He's a pretty good returner. But, I mean, I'm very excited for Land Larson. I definitely could see him making the squad with the Patriots just because I think it's a really good fit. I think it's somebody that Josh McDaniels would like as a player. That's why I think it's no surprise that they signed him as a UDFA. But excited for Land Larson. And then you got Efton Chisholm, who I think potentially could have got drafted, but I think his 40 time hurt him. Even though if you watch his film, his 40 speed isn't a piece of his game. I still think that 40 probably rubs some people the wrong way, but he ends up getting signed to the Patriots. Very exciting for him. And also, same with Land Larson. I think Efton Chisholm is the type of receiver that you envision in a Josh McDaniels type offense. Now, Efton Chisholm definitely has a more lofty road to get to the 53. If you look at who they have, Kendrick Bourne. Let me actually do a little bit of research here and try to find New England Patriots roster. Okay. Now, I'm just going to look at the receivers for in Efton Chisholm's case. Can we filter it by position? We can. Okay. So we're going to go look at the receivers here on the Patriots roster, who they currently have on their roster, and see where Efton Chisholm fits in. So you got Javon Baker. I believe he was drafted last year. You got Kendrick Bourne, Eastern Washington. Funny enough, they got Kendrick Bourne, who played with Cooper Kupp and is an Eastern Washington guy. So pretty awesome for Efton Chisholm to also end up there. You got Kayshon Boutte. You got Stephon Diggs. You got Demario Douglas. I think they call him Pop Douglas. You got Matt Collins. You got Jaquay Jackson. You got John Giles. You got Jalen Polk. And you got Kyle Williams, who was drafted out of Washington State. So it seems like they haven't even added any other except for Kyle Williams. I don't know who John Giles is. Is he 1 year? Let me see. Oh yeah, it would specify if he's a rookie. Yeah, because Kyle Williams is a rookie. Anyway, I mean, dang, Stephon Diggs been in the league for 11 years? Am I that old? Anyway, yeah. So just what I was saying. I mean, if I had to guess, Kendrick Bourne is paid. He's probably going to make the roster. Kayshon Boutte is probably going to make the roster. Stephon Diggs is on a 1-year contract, but he's probably going to make the roster. Demario Douglas, who has been there, is probably going to make the roster. You look at Javon Baker. I see these 4 as like secured spots. Matt Collins has a ton of experience in the league. I could definitely see. I mean, so Kyle Williams is going to make the roster. He was a second-round draft pick. They're not going to cut him. Jalen Polk was a second-round draft pick, or first or second-round draft pick last year. I think it was a second-round draft pick last year. They're most likely not going to cut him. So just right there, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers who I could envision. And most teams keep 5 to 6 receivers. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to cast doubt on Efton Chisholm at all. They could certainly trade some of these guys if Efton Chisholm ends up working out, if he ends up being a guy. I mean, and there's also the practice squad, but I don't know, man. I don't know. There's still a whole lot of time until training camp happens, so there could be some cuts, there could be some trades, there could be some things being moved around. But like I was saying, Efton Chisholm definitely has a long road to get to making that 53-man roster, but I know he can do it. Hard work, dedication, putting in the time, be there before everybody, stay there after everybody leaves. I mean, first guy in, last guy to leave. That's what it's about. So let's look at the running backs first. Since we just did it for Efton Chisholm, let's do it for Land Larson as well. You got Antonio Gibson. You got Travion Henderson. He's going to make the roster. I think he was a second-round draft pick. You got Terrell Jennings, and you got Ramondre Stevenson. So I actually did post a video about Land Larson going to the Patriots, and there were some people in the comments talking about, we got 4 running backs. We're going to have to cut somebody. We're going to have to trade somebody. That's what it is about the NFL. Competition. You're going to have to beat somebody out. You're going to have to take somebody's spot. You're not just, because they're not just going to draft you or sign you and say, okay, sure, we filled that spot. No, they're going to draft 3 or 4. They're going to draft 3 or 4 guys to fill 1 or 2 spots, and you guys are going to duke it out. Who best man's going to win, and that's what breeds success. That's what breeds why the NFL is what it is because it's so competitive. Everybody wants to play in that league. Everybody wants to be a part of the NFL Shield. Everybody wants to be a part of the NFL family. And you are willing to do anything you can to stay in that family or make it into that family. So it's very competitive. Nothing is going to be given to you. But it seems like an easier road for Land Larson to make the Patriots 53 than it does for Efton Chisholm. But they both obviously have the skill set to make it, or else they wouldn't have been signed. Somebody sees something in them, so it'll be exciting to see how that turns out for them. But Land Larson and Efton Chisholm and Elijah Ponder all going to the Patriots. Then you got Brody Grebe. This is per Skyline Sports, a 3-time All-American of the 2024 Big Sky Football Defensive Player of the Year and the 2024 Big Sky Football Defensive Player of the Year, has received an NFL rookie mini camp invite from the Minnesota Vikings. So I thought Brody Grebe might sign an undrafted free agent contract. I was kind of surprised not to see him sign an undrafted free agent contract, but, I guess I get it. He wasn't super productive in 2024. He did deal with a little knee injury in 2024 as well. So, I kind of understand it, but I thought he was somebody who fit the size and speed of somebody who could get an opportunity, at least get signed to the 90, an undrafted free agent contract, and maybe get him to training camp and see how that works out. But he got an opportunity. That's more than I can say for what I got. He got an opportunity to go to a mini camp, and that's super exciting. You got Hayden Harris out of Montana signed with the Bills as an undrafted free agent. Not gonna lie, if I had to pick one, Brody Grebe or Hayden Harris, who did I think would sign as a UDFA or maybe even get drafted, I definitely would have chosen Brody Grebe. But to see Hayden Harris get signed to the Bills, very exciting. Once again, he's somebody who's probably going to get drafted in the top 10 of the CFL draft next week. So he's got that on his side as well. But very exciting for Hayden Harris. One surprise, and I'm not just saying surprise, I'm saying very surprising. Marcus Weir has no interest. Absolutely no interest. And maybe he's got a little bit of interest. Maybe he's seeing some interest, and but per my sources, Marcus Weir hasn't had a ton of interest, and that is so surprising. He went, I believe, to the Shrine Bowl, had a good day at the Shrine Bowl. He had a really good season. People have known about him. People have known about Marcus Weir. The only reason I would say and believe as to why he didn't get picked up, I think when I was going through his combine or his pro day numbers, his arm length might have been a little bit short. So I can see maybe because of his arms being short. He's not also super tall. I think he's 6'2". So being 6'2", not having the longest arms, maybe that hurt him. But you turn on the film, and Marcus Weir is extremely dominant as a guard. He's extremely dominant at any position you put him at during college. He played tackle, he played guard. I don't know if he played center in college, but he can do it all. He's a do-it-all guy on the offensive line, and he was super successful. So I just don't get why Marcus Weir's interest is not there. Maybe his agent isn't doing the type of work that he needs to do, but I don't believe that, man. I just believe, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is crazy. I would have thought that Marcus Weir would have been signed over Hayden Harris, over Brody Grebe. I would have thought he would have signed over Land Larson and Efton. I thought he was going to get drafted. I thought Marcus Weir was like a 6th or 7th round draft pick and for sure a priority free agent. Not just a UDFA. We're going to pick him up in free agency, give him an opportunity. No, I thought Marcus Weir was going to be somebody who for sure was going to sign with a team. And that didn't happen. So pretty bummed for Marcus Weir. Marcus Weir. He was an extremely productive player, and obviously there's still time for him to get signed, and this is going to be dropping on Tuesday, so by the time this drops, he might already be signed. I hope that's the case, but as of right now, Sunday, April 27th at, what time is it? 2, almost 3 o'clock, Marcus Weir has not been signed. And maybe he has right now, but I've been recording, so I don't know. But those are the draft picks. Jackson Slater from Sacramento State went to the 5th round, pick 167 to the Tennessee Titans. Junior Bergen went in the 7th round. Junior Bergen went in the 7th round to the 49ers. Tommy Mellott went to the Raiders, pick number 213 in the 6th round. Cam Miller went with pick 215 in the 6th round to the Raiders as well. He's not a big sky guy. Land Larson, UDFA to the Patriots. Brody Grebe, rookie minicamp to the Vikings. Elijah Ponder, UDFA to the Patriots. Efton Chisholm, UDFA to the Patriots. Montana, Hayden Harris went to the Bills as a UDFA. And then Marcus Weir, unfortunately, has no interest right now. But you guys let me know what you guys think about all of these Big Sky picks in the draft this year. Who do you think is the best fit? Do you think Tommy Mellott with Chip Kelly and the Raiders is a good fit? Or do you think that Land Larson and the Patriots is a perfect fit? Do you like Junior Bergen with the 49ers? I think he could fit in that West Coast system with Kyle Shanahan as a receiver. Move him around, get him involved in the offense. I think that could be something that really works. You guys let me know, and I will move on. Okay. Fear the FCS posted, I count 26 players drafted who previously played at an FCS program. That's 10% of the NFL draft picks this year with FCS experience in their college career. Not bad considering the FCS doesn't get anywhere close to 10% of the coverage during college football season. And then Reddit College Football posted, for what it's worth. Oh no, this is Sam Herder. Sam Herder posted, for what it's worth, and it may not be much in the world of realignment due to location and the letter FCS. Since 2014, NDSU has more NFL draft picks than every current Mountain West member besides 2 teams, Boise State and San Diego State. That's per Sam Herder. I got one more quote. This is per Reddit College Football. Every single pick in the 2025 NFL draft was an NCAA D1 player. Cannot remember that ever happening. I mentioned that at the beginning of this video today. But man, I mean, it seems like less and less players are getting drafted from the smaller level. So no D2 players picked this year. No D3 players picked this year. No NAI. I don't know if there's ever a ton of NAI players drafted, but no NAI players drafted this year. Sorry. But, I mean, man, it just seems like the gap is widening. So what I took from that quote from Reddit College Football about every single player in the 2025 draft being a D1 football player, I just think that means that the gap is widening. Now, obviously, there were more FCS picks, guys who played in FCS this year. There were more FCS picks. I think there were 16. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was 12 last year in the 2024 NFL draft. So more picks this year coming out of the FCS, but I just feel like as more players transfer out of the subdivision, as more guys go chase the NIL, as more guys go chase the opportunities and the opportunity to get drafted higher, going to the Power 5 or G5, it just seems like, I mean, you see it right here. No D2, D3 players. I feel like that there's always a few small school guys who are going to get attention. I mean, I think of Kyle Duggar, who got drafted to the Patriots out of Lenore-Ryan. There was also another receiver out of Lenore-Ryan that got drafted to the Seahawks. I mean, I just feel like there's always a few small school guys that are going to get attention. You got Quinn Miners for the Broncos, who just got his second contract. I mean, there's always some small school guys who are going to get some attention, and this year it just seems like maybe the small school guys were not strong this year. Maybe the small school draft class wasn't great this year. But I took that as meaning, hey, the gap is widening. There's less and less players coming out of these small schools. I think eventually there will be less and less players coming out of the FCS. I think one day we're going to see all the draft picks coming out of the Big Ten and SEC. I mean, 79 players out of a 260-player draft getting drafted out of the SEC, one conference. I mean, either that says something about the play of the SEC or that says something about what the talent evaluators think about the SEC. I mean, I don't know. And I don't know really how to gauge if the talent level in the SEC is really that much more elite than everybody else, but you just look at the measurables. They're the fastest players, they're the biggest players. They get all the best talent. They get all the 5 stars. They get all the guys who are projected out of high school to end up in the NFL. So it's only right that they're going to get the most draft picks. So seems like the FCS numbers are up this year, but I feel like there's a trend happening that eventually some of these small school guys at a D2, D3, and maybe even FCS are going to be weaned out because, I mean, you see it every year right now in the FCS. A player has a good season, they're gone. They're going to the P5, they're going G5, they're going to get better opportunities at another level. And yeah, I don't know how sustainable that is for draft success for the FCS. But numbers are up this year, so we're not going to harp on it too much. The numbers are up for the FCS, but I feel like the gap is widening a little bit. You guys let me know what you guys think about that down below, and I will move on. Okay. I want to give my thoughts on this Shedeur Sanders debacle. First off, as of Sunday today, the player who leaked Shedeur Sanders' number on day 2 of the draft, I believe it was, his name is Jax Ulbrich. He came out and apologized. He posted a post on Instagram. Also, the Atlanta Falcons posted a post on Twitter voicing their, I don't even know how to say it, apologizing to Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family for what happened, for what took place. They took full responsibility. They said they're going to look to improve the ways they do things or whatever if they need to investigate they know what happened. Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator of the Falcons, left Jax Ulbrich went to visit his family. he left an iPad. He was on his iPad, on his dad's iPad, and found the list of numbers or whatever, copied the number, and saved it in order to prank somebody during the draft. So not really Jeff Ulbricht's fault. It's his son that really was doing the shady stuff, but he apologized. The Falcons said in their statement that they were going to make sure that the Ulbricht son was going to apologize. But Shedeur Sanders was projected to be a top 15 pick by many draft analysts, by many people who are in the know. He was projected as the number 2 quarterback on some people's boards. He was projected as the number 1 quarterback, and now he is picked number 144 to the Cleveland Browns, and he wasn't even their first quarterback taken in the draft. They took Dylan Gabriel, I believe, in the 3rd round, and they didn't even think Shedeur would still be there, but once he was there in the 5th round, they decided to take him in the 5th round. I remember when the 5th round came around, and it started getting to the late of the 5th round, I was like, man, is he going to slide? Is he not going to be drafted? Like, is that what's happening right now? I don't know, man. But very, very exciting for him to get drafted. First off, congratulations to Shedeur Sanders on getting drafted. That is, what it's all about. But, I mean, to the fall from grace, it just seems like a lot of teams were off-put about some of the, say, arrogance that people believe he has. Seems like some people were off-put by some of the statements that were made by Dion and Shedeur. I mean, there was a lot that was done by the Sanders family. First off, Shedeur Sanders played in his bowl game. I believe it was his bowl game or maybe his last game of the season. He wore Giants cleats, Giants colored cleats. I mean, that is a absolutely bold thing to do. I don't know how off-put the Giants were by that or if they even cared, but to wear this keeps like digging into my neck, but to wear the color of the team, and I don't even know if at that point he had talked to the Giants, but to wear the Giants colors on some cleats is absolutely crazy. I mean, that is just so, I'm somebody who's always thinking like, I'm not gonna do anything that makes it seem like I'm cocky or like I don't know, like I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I don't want to say anything like, oh yeah, I'm about to get this, or I'm about to do that, or this is about to happen, because as soon as you put it into the universe, the devil's going to come in and try to take it from you. I just want to keep it to myself. If I got something brewing, I want to keep it to myself, and once it materializes, then I want to speak about it. But Shedeur runs his life differently, and that is all fine. There were also reports online that his interviews weren't great. There were a lot of reports talking about how he was in interviews. They said it seemed like at times he was talking to certain teams in a certain manner because he didn't want to go there. Well, in my shoes, I'm thinking like, and obviously I wasn't in that position. I didn't get to talk to any teams during my pre-draft process. Broke my collarbone, didn't get to go to the Hula Bowl, but I feel like you would want to talk to every team as if you would be happy, because you don't ever know what happens in the draft. They could trade up and try to get you. You may be talking to them and thinking, oh, you guys aren't picking until pick 32. I'm going to be gone. Well, what if we like what you say in this interview and we want to trade up to grab you? What if that's the case? I mean, there's so many. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in his shoes. I'm not Shedeur Sanders. I feel extremely bad for what happened to him, because I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I believe Shedeur Sanders is better than Tyler Shuck. I believe Shedeur Sanders is better than Dylan Gabriel. I believe Shedeur Sanders is better than Jalen Milroe. I think with Jackson Dart, you can have a conversation. I think Cam Ward is certainly the best quarterback in this draft this year. But with Jackson Dart, I think it's worth a conversation. But with Shuck, Gabriel, and Milroe, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I just think Shedeur is the better quarterback. And I think that due to some of the things that happened in the pre-draft process, some of his, call it arrogance, I call it confidence, whatever you want to call it, I think that kind of rubbed teams the wrong way. And I think also the way he conducted himself in the interviews. There's so many layers to this Shedeur Sanders story, because there's been so much that's said. I mean, it's the Sanders family. Deion Sanders is his father. They are always in the headlines. Another thing that I think hurt him, didn't do the combine. Didn't go to the Senior Bowl. I think he's an underclassman. I don't know if they invited him to the Senior Bowl. I know they allow underclassmen at the Senior Bowl. I can't remember what happened with the Senior Bowl. But Shrine Bowl, didn't work out at the Shrine Bowl. Didn't do anything in Combine. Did not go to the Big 12 Pro Day. Had their own Pro Day at Colorado. Worked out there. I don't know if he tested. But it just felt like during the pre-draft process, Shedeur felt like he was better than the process. It felt to me, on watching it from the outside in, it felt like he assumed that he didn't need to do any of that stuff and didn't need to do well in anything because he was a lock. Well, it seems as though the league had a different opinion about Shedeur and his ability than what him and his family had. And another, like, it's so funny to watch Mel Kiper go crazy during the draft because Mel Kiper ultimately is not employed by the NFL. So he can talk, and obviously he's a phenomenal talent evaluator. You can say phenomenal, or if you think he's a dog shit talent evaluator, you can say that too. If you don't think he's very good at evaluating talent, that's your opinion. But Mel Kiper has been in the business for a very long time. He's been evaluating talent for a very, very long time. I'm sure he's watching film 20 hours out of the day. I mean, I'm sure he's buried in the film all months out of the year, all days out of the week, and he's getting that stuff done. He was very animated about Shedeur Sanders sliding in the draft. Part of that is probably because he had Shedeur Sanders as a number one or number two quarterback on his board. So people are going to discount him now. I mean, you lose your credibility. You know, you are seen as the draft savant. You are seen as the guy in the know, the guy who kind of invented the business. I don't want to say he invented it, but Mel Kiper is a big reason why draft evaluation, draft boards, you know, analyzing draft picks, watching the film has always been a thing, but Mel Kiper has kind of been a part of why the draft is so big, why the combine is so big, why evaluating talent is so big, and why it's become a spectacle, because he made it that way. You know, he was part of that. So when Shedeur slides in the draft, doesn't get picked first, second, third, fourth round, finally goes in the fifth round, he was animated. He was animated. But I feel like part of this situation is kind of a situation where Shedeur Sanders made his bed and now he's being asked to lay in it. It's not an ideal situation, and obviously they always say it's not about when you get picked, it's about what you do once you get there. So obviously all eyes are going to be on the Browns. I think the best thing the NFL and HBO could do this year is put the Browns on Hard Knocks, because I want to see Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders battle it out in rookie minicamp. Even give them the offseason. Forget it. Give them the offseason Hard Knocks. Let's see the offs. Give the Browns Hard Knocks for the next 365 days. We need to see the offseason. We need to see that first Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel meeting, and then carry it over from the offseason, and let's see that regular season. Let's see the NFL training camp. Let's see how it goes in training camp. Let's see how Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel are with each other. Let's see how the competition goes. And then, once the season starts, let's see how that season goes. And let's not forget, they got Joe Flacco. They got Deshaun Watson. They don't have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but they got another quarterback. I'm blanking on who their other quarterback is. Oh, Kenny Pickett. They got Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson out for the season, most likely 2025. They got Joe Flacco. And then they got Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. I need to see all that. Let's get Hard Knocks for at least the next 8 months with the Browns. Or let's go. May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 8 months. We need 8 months with the Browns, man. 8 months. Give us 8 months to watch what's going on with the Browns. Let's see what's going on. I need to see it. But all in all, I wanted to just talk about the Shedeur Sanders situation because obviously it was all over the headlines. He didn't get picked into the 5th round. I'm still just flabbergasted. I mean, it's just crazy, man. Crazy. And it just got crazier and crazier. It was like, he didn't get picked in the 1st round. I was like, okay, he's definitely going to go in the 2nd round. They see the Saints finally come up in the 2nd round. They take Tyler Shuck. So then you're like, all right, later on in the 2nd round. I think Milroe might have went in the 2nd or 3rd. I think Milroe went in the 3rd round. It's like, oh, they didn't get him. So then I think Dillon Gabriel went in the 3rd or 4th round. And then finally for them to draft him in the 5th. I mean, man, just crazy. Just a crazy weekend. Congrats to Shedeur Sanders on getting picked. Now it's all about what you're going to do once you're in the building. Are you going to make something shake? You have to make something shake. Go get it done. You guys let me know what you guys thought about the Shedeur Sanders situation, and I will move on. Okay, I got a little Sac State recruiting news for you right here. So Georgia transfer quarterback Jaden Rashada has committed to Sacramento State. On3 has learned. He started his career at Arizona State. I mean, amen. Jaden Rashada ended up at Sac State. Now, obviously, this guy is a former 5-star. He was like one of the top-rated quarterbacks in his class. I think he was the 2023 class. One of the top quarterbacks in his class. He is now at Sac State. Now, this might shake some things up because obviously you brought in a quarterback from Tulsa. Gotta believe they're probably bringing Jaden Rashada after spring ball because you've seen what your quarterback position looks like. They got Carson Conklin there. They got a quarterback from Tulsa who transferred, doesn't have a ton of playing experience, but I think he kind of fits in the system that Brandon Marion wants to run. But now you got Jaden Rashada, a former 5-star. Now, understand, he started his career really at like Florida. Then he went to Arizona State. Then he went to Georgia. Now he's at Sac State. He's at Sac State for a reason. Let's not miss that part of this whole story. He is at Sac State for a reason. If he could be at Georgia and be the starter, he would be at Georgia. If he could be at Arizona State and be the starter over Sam Leavitt, he would be there. So let's understand that although this guy was a former 5-star, he is at Sac State for a reason. But let's also understand that obviously some talent evaluators saw him and felt it right to make him a 5-star. Now, those are high school talent evaluators. How much do you respect high school talent evaluators? How much do you respect the stars that these players are given in college, or in high school? Sometimes they're bogus, sometimes they're genuine, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. It's not a perfect science. But he was a former 5-star, very highly recruited, very highly high school recruit coming out of, I don't even know where he's from. I think he's from California, or I don't actually know where he's from, so I'm not going to guess. But this is exciting, man. This is exciting for Sac State. This is exciting for Brennan Marion and the Hornets. Now, obviously, they are making their transition to hopefully be an independent. I haven't heard anything about an approval or not being approved, but everybody knows that they are headed to the FBS if all things work out. So I predict they'll probably play a Big Sky schedule this coming up season, but they will be ineligible. But it'll be exciting to see them. Obviously, we cover the Big Sky over here, so we're going to be tapped in. We're going to be watching that go-go offense, and I want to know who's going to start, because I do have a video dropping of Carson Conklin either this week or next week. I did an all-22 breakdown of Carson Conklin. I think he's got some good traits. I think he's a very good pocket passer. I think he's got some good skills, but it seems like they're trying to bring some competition in there for him. And Brandon Marion's there. He knows what he's doing, so obviously if he's bringing Jaden Rashada in, he believes they could use some competition and some help. So we will see who wins that job, but also former Texas and Nevada running back Savion Red has now committed to Sacramento State as well. Ran for 687 yards and 8 touchdowns at Nevada last season. So Jeff Choate, who just had Savion Red, he is not sending him, but Savion Red is going to Sac State. So Sacramento State is still hammering the portal, still killing it in the portal. Now, obviously, you got to put it all together. It's got to work on the field. I believe Brandon Marion can do it, but Sac State has been absolutely on fire this offseason in the transfer portal, and they're just continuing with that now. So you guys let me know what you think some of these picks are going to do for Sacramento State. I predict that they will be a very hard out in their Big Sky schedule now. I don't know for sure if they can still win the Big Sky in 2025. I believe you can still compete for your conference championship if you're in transition, but it may vary from conference to conference, so I might have to do a little bit more research on that. But I know they will still be playing a Big Sky schedule in 2025, so I'm excited to see what they look like. You guys let me know what you guys think about that, and I will move on. Last topic here. The Patriot League formally announces the addition of William and Mary as an associate member for football. The tribe will begin competition in the league for the 2026 football season. So let's look at the CAA movement. I think Sam Herder posted this CAA movement. I can't remember exactly who posted it. I believe it was Sam Herder who posted this. CAA movement since 2021. They lost James Madison, who's been a very good team in the Sun Belt Conference at the FBS. Delaware, they transitioned last year. I believe they're going to be playing an FBS schedule this year. Richmond, they were in the FC. Two of these are FBS departures. William and Mary and Richmond are departures, but they are staying in the FCS. So Delaware went FBS, they're gone. James Madison went FBS. Richmond is staying FCS, but I believe they are going to the Patriot League. And William and Mary is also following them and going to the Patriot League. I don't know if Richmond and William and Mary are rivals, but I feel like they might be rivals. I know they both play in the CAA. Additions. They've added Bryant. Don't think that's a very strong addition. They've added Campbell. Don't think that's a very strong addition. They've added Hampton. HBCU. Don't see that as they're not very good at football. Monmouth, I think that's a good addition. They were in the Big South before. They were in the Big South actually as during my time at Montana. And then they added North Carolina A&T. Historically been a really good team. As of late, I don't think they've been very good. But those are the 5 additions that they've made since 2021 and what they've lost. James Madison, Delaware, losing them, and even Richmond. Richmond won they won a share of the CAA last year. So losing those 3 teams in the last 4 years is devastating. I mean, James Madison was the staple in the CAA. If you didn't know any other team in the CAA was going to be in the playoffs, James Madison was going to be in the conversation. Same with Delaware. Delaware wasn't always the best team. They weren't always the worst team, but they were usually above average, and most of the time they were pretty good. In 2023, they were pretty good. Last year, they were pretty good, but they just couldn't make the playoffs. They would have made the playoffs last year, but they were ineligible because they're in transition. But, I mean, it just seems like, last year, everybody was on the conference, Coastal Atlantic Association. Everybody was on their head. Rhode Island was, what were they? They only had one loss in the regular season, and they were not very good. And so what does that tell you about Rhode Island being one of the best teams in the CAA, being one of the best teams in the country? They were ranked like top 10, top 15 all season. I think mostly top 10 all season. And then they get in the playoffs, and they're not a good team. So, the CAA has just progressively gotten weaker. You still got Villanova in the CAA. I'm blanking. I got to look it up again. Damn it. Okay, let's look who is in the CAA. They still saw James Madison on here. That is not true. Richmond's not in there anymore. You got Rhode Island. They were 7-1 last year. Richmond was 8-0 last year in the conference, obviously. You got Delaware, who's no longer there. So take Delaware out. Take Richmond out. So I guess William & Mary will still be in the conference this year, so you can still count them. Delaware, I believe, is gone. Richmond, I believe, is going to be gone this year because I think they announced the Richmond transition last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Rhode Island, Delaware, Villanova, New Hampshire has been pretty decent. They were 6-2 in conference last year. Stony Brook has been pretty decent. They were 5-3 in conference last year. I believe they didn't make the playoffs. You got Towson, you got Elon, you got Monmouth, William & Mary obviously in there, Maine, Hampton, UAlbany made the playoffs in 2023. They made it to the semifinals actually. Campbell, Bryant, NCA&T. So first thing, the conference is extremely large. I think they had 16 teams play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so 16 teams played in the CAA in 2024. Now that's going to be down to you lose Richmond, you lose Delaware, you lose not William & Mary this year, but you're going to lose them going forward. So you're going to have 14 this next year, losing Delaware and Richmond. But, it's just not a strong conference, man. And after their performance in playoffs, that just validated everybody's belief that the CAA is not very strong. Just not very strong. So not a great loss for especially since William & Mary just had somebody get drafted. That is good pub for the CAA conference. And now it's just getting weaker by losing that team. Now, William & Mary was 4-4, 7-5 overall. So they weren't a great team in the conference. But, they're competitive. They're competitive. I remember once upon a time, Cam Newton's brother was there. They actually played Montana State, I believe, in the playoffs one year. But what do you guys think about William & Mary leaving? So here's my next comment about going to the Patriot League. The Patriot League is not much better than the conference CAA. Let me look up the Patriot League and see who we got in the Patriot League. So I'm seeing Georgetown, Lehigh, Colgate. I need to remember these teams. I need to have these teams remembered by heart. But let's go to the standings for 2024. But in the CAA conference, you got Lehigh, Holy Cross, Bucknell, Georgetown, Lafayette, Fordham, and Colgate. And I believe now you're adding Richmond and William & Mary in 2026. I don't know exactly when Richmond's going to be added in there. I'm so sorry. But, you just look at their records from last year. Lehigh, who made the playoffs, I believe they actually might have won a game. They lost to they lost to Idaho, and they won their first round game. Then they saw Idaho in the second round, if I'm not mistaken. Lehigh was 9-4 last year. Good record. They were 5-1 in conference. Holy Cross was 6-6 last year. They were 5-1 in conference. They shared the conference title with Lehigh. What are we talking about? Then you go down to Bucknell, 4-2 in conference. That's a good record. 6-6 overall. 2-4 Georgetown, 5-6 overall. 2-4 Lafayette, 6-6 overall. Let me remind you, Lafayette was a playoff team in 2023. They also had one of the best running backs in Jordan Curtis in the country on their team. He didn't have a great season last year. He's at Sac State now. Fordham was 2-4, 2-10 overall. And then Colgate, 1-5 in conference, 2-10 overall. My question with this move for William & Mary to the Patriot League. What are you gaining in the Patriot League that you didn't have in the CAA? Because they're joining as an affiliate, an associate member. They're only playing football in the Patriot League. So Is it that you can be more competitive in the Patriot League? Because if that's the case, I get that. And I 100% understand that. You haven't been super competitive. You've been above average, sometimes good in the CAA, but you've never been great. You've never won it, and you're not really going to the playoffs very often. I get it. In that case, go to the Patriot League, run roughshod over the Patriot League, and dominate them for the next 20, 30 years, and maybe get a national championship. Who knows? But if it's in terms of like conference standing and conference respect, I feel like the CAA still gets a little bit more respect because I just think about it myself. I respect the CAA more than I respect the Patriot League. I respect them both less than I respect the Big Sky and the MVFC, and even maybe the UAC. I gained a ton of respect for the UAC last year, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a net zero move. Your CAA is not very strong. You're in the CAA with 16 teams. Maybe that was their gripe. It's like, hey, there's 20,000 teams in this conference. We don't need that many. We do not need that many. Maybe the Flow Sports deal wasn't very fruitful for them. I mean, I don't know what their TV deal looks like. I'd have to get in all the weeds with all the numbers and everything. But this seems to be like a better move for William and Mary. So they made it. It's exciting. We will see how it turns out. They're going to be playing the CAA this year. So this is a non-starter right now. But eventually it'll become important in 2026. You guys let me know what you guys think about William and Mary leaving the CAA. What do you guys think about the strength of the CAA? What do you think about the Patriot League, where William and Mary is going? Do you think very highly of the conference? You let me know down below, and I will move on. Okay, that is going to conclude my video for today. A lot of it was eaten up by draft talk about draft reactions. The NFL draft is finally past us. We are now looking ahead to the 2025 football season. Montana State, Idaho, Sac State, Big Sky football. What is going to happen? FCS football, what is going to happen? College football, what is going to happen? So much more needs to still happen. The House settlement is going to be approved, hopefully going forward. Maybe we'll see some more movement. The portal is now officially closed, so you can start planning on looking at these rosters. You know, what are these rosters going to look like for the fall? The portal is closed, so we should have a solid idea on what teams are, what they can be, and what they're going to be going into the fall. So, yeah, thank you guys for tapping into the channel. I appreciate you guys so much. Remember, 70 to 80% of you guys are not subscribed. It costs you nothing, absolutely nothing to subscribe to my channel, and it means the most to me. So please subscribe to the channel. Please make sure you guys leave a like on the video. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any constructive criticism, I am very open. Please let me know. I thank you guys for continuing to tune into the channel. I appreciate the support and love, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya later.